Hey, it's Pastor Dan from Dexter Gospel Church with another Proverbs Practical. Thanks for watching today. Our verse today speaks of someone that it's pretty dangerous to trust, at least in the financial arena. Two people, really, that it's dangerous to do business with. We're in Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 16. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 16 says, "Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman." So by comparison and a little bit of contrast, this points to two people who are headed for financial disaster. And perhaps worse, two people that you ultimately can't trust, especially in financial dealings. The first one is the person who will guarantee the debts of people he doesn't know. The person who will insure anybody for anything, even if he doesn't know anything about them. It talks about him being surety for a stranger, and you can kind of hear our word for insurance in there. It's somebody who promises to pay the debt of someone else if they default on it or if they can't pay it. Now, the Bible constantly warns about the dangers of being surety for someone else's debt. It's dangerous to do it even with friends. The general counsel in the Bible is that if you loan somebody something, don't even expect to get it back. Just give it instead of loaning. Treat it as a gift, and that'll be better for the relationship, and it'll keep you from loaning something you can't afford to lose, because there is always a chance you're going to lose it. But to be surety on the loans for people that you don't even have any connection to, no relationship with, that's the height of folly in business. We give things because the people in the relationship are more important than the thing we're giving. But when we're in business and there's no relationship and no connection, well, it's a pretty dangerous thing to simply throw money away, basically. To pair the more modern expression with the ancient one here, the guy is going to lose his shirt. If that's his habit in dealings, to be surety for strangers, he's eventually going to lose it all financially, and when he goes out to get a loan himself, the only collateral he's going to have left is his own clothes. So if you're giving him a loan or taking his collateral, you need to get something valuable for it. You can't trust him to hold up financially over the long run. Now, that does not mean that this is always morally wrong. It's not wrong to give sacrificially. It's not wrong to help strangers. What did the Good Samaritan tell the innkeeper? He rescued the guy on the road when nobody else would help him, and he bound up his wounds, and he took him to an innkeeper. He had business, he couldn't stay. And he gave the innkeeper some money, and he told the innkeeper that if the guy spent any more than what he'd already given him, he would pay the balance upon his return. Well, that was essentially being surety for a stranger. He was saying he would pay someone else's debt, and it was somebody he didn't know and didn't have any connection to. And he is praised for it and held up as an example of godly morality. Could he be taken advantage of? Sure, but he was willing to give and to help. But we have to do this giving, this helping, with the awareness that we can and quite likely will lose everything we invest that way. The person has to mean more to us than the money. And in business dealings, we must be aware of the risk of our transactions and those that we're dealing with. So don't put a lot of financial confidence in someone who just seems to be giving away money. And if you deal with him, get something concrete from him, because he might not have anything else to pay with down the road. Speaking of getting something concrete, now we find the next person who is headed for disaster. And this person you can't trust at all. The idea is that the first person is careless, and thus it's dangerous to put too much confidence in them. The second person is immoral. He's spending his money on immorality or on partners in immorality. It speaks of taking a pledge of him for a strange woman. That's the idea of a strange woman, someone who isn't his wife. And if you're dealing with someone who will have relationships with someone who isn't his wife, you're dealing with someone you can't trust. So when it says to get a pledge of him, it's not talking about making him promise you. You already know that he doesn't keep his promises because he's cheating on his wife. It's talking about making him put up serious collateral, not just his word. It's saying he needs to put up the money before you trust the promise. His morals have shown what his promises are worth. If his wife can't trust him, neither can you. If morals do not guide him sexually, then they will not guide him financially. He too is headed for ruin, and even more surely than the person who's careless with their money. The careless person may have a heart of generosity, but poor discernment and risk assessment. When he reaps what he sows, he might lose his money, but he may still have something left, and at least he'll have his character left. But the immoral person, when they reap what they sow or come under the judgment of God, a far greater ruin is approaching. And you don't want to be relying on that person to keep their promises or pay you back when that happens, or follow through on the commitments that they made, even if they meant to keep them. The consequences of their immorality might prevent them from doing it. This actually makes it pretty wise to consider the morality and discretion of those that we enter into business or political or any kind of financial dealings with. Their decision-making process, whether it be careless or whether it be self-centered and immoral, will eventually impact our dealings with them too. I hope this video is a help to you. If so, give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more like it. We'd love to hear from you in the comments or see you in person at Dexter Gospel Church. Until next time, I hope you stay well and deal carefully.